Welcome to the Indian Community Podcast. I'm your host Amit Gupta with my co-host Rahul Mehra. Today we meet Aniket Bajpai, a Forbes 30 under 30 honoree, LimeChat's co-founder and a strategic advisor to over 300 D2C brands. Join us as we dive into the world of AI and machine learning with Aniket. He's a passionate innovator with a rich background in both AI applications such as self-driving cars, chat automation, and face recognition. Discover how his journey from groundbreaking research at IIT Delhi, entrepreneurship, has reshaped e commerce through conversational AI technology. Get ready to explore the AI driven future with Aniket. Welcome to the Indian Community Podcast, Aniket.
Hi, Aniket.
Hi,
Aniket,
Rahul. Hi, Amit. Very excited to be here.
Welcome to the show.
great. Same for us. Same for us. So, Aniket, my first question to you would be: you had opportunities in your academics, and you also had lucrative job offers rather. But having all that, what motivated you to take the entrepreneurial route with LimeChat?
Yeah, that's a great question because I went to IIT Delhi and I was in computer science, and there were the starting job offers is something which is super lucrative and which can like get somebody
Yeah,
to retire in 10 years itself.
yeah,
But I just wanted to do something much bigger and much more different. I always was fascinated about building businesses, about creating something of my own and leaving a legacy. And I had already seen my parents who already had very successful careers. Right. So I wanted to take a different path from that as well. And so, in fact, from my school days itself, right down to when I was in college, I had continuously started and experimented with businesses. In my college itself, I started two companies, right, which both of them failed, but it was so thrilling that I realized that okay, this is what makes me alive. This is my purpose in life, and this is what I need to do, right. And the short term, it was not even about the money, right. Even though like a startup is one way to create a very outsized return for yourself, a very different magnitude of outcome than what a job can create if it is done well. But but the main motivation was that when I actually did experiment with the startup, right, the ownership was so high and it was so thrilling that I just felt that that is what I was put to do on the earth, right. And so I thought that if something is making me so happy, I cannot leave it, right? Just because maybe I'm getting a little bit better money somewhere else. So that is why I decided to just go and jump right into it.
I think Amit, we should ask him a little bit about his background also. Where does he come from? And a little bit of history, maybe a couple of lines.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am originally from Bombay,
Okay.
right? I born and brought up there, and yeah. So in school, I was that kind of student who was decently good at studies, but who also balanced it with some extracurricular activities, sports, clubs, and so on, right? And in fact, I was always super interested in science. I went to the Junior Science Olympiad and the Physics Olympiad as well. And in 11th, 12th, of course, I ended up taking PCM science and preparing for JE. And yeah, from I prepared from home itself, and then I was fortunate enough to get into IIT Delhi, and that itself was a great experience, right? Going away from home, staying there in hostel for 4 years, making friends, and right, learning about the world there.
Excellent.
Great, great. In fact, I wanted to add one more thing. When you said that you took up the entrepreneurial journey and getting such a high rank and being in IIT, I mean, if a person like me would have gone there, I never did it. So, one big question that comes to my mind is that how do you stop yourself from the lure of that kind of money and at such a young age to be, because eventually that thing is very strong. And then there are voices from outside telling you that questioning your act, what you're doing like an entrepreneur. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Like it's very hard, right? Like from being a student who has no money to eventually like being in a job where you'll get like 4 or 5 lakhs a month itself, right? And so that greed is always there. Plus, there is this whole peer circle and society who is telling you, okay, hey, like you've gone to this institute, you worked hard, this is what it is for, right? Like you need to go ahead and do it. Right. And at the end, like you just need to believe in yourself and believe in that inner voice. And of course, it's very hard, right, to believe all of that and go against the grain so much. But like you just need to play that long term game, right? You need to believe in yourself as well and your purpose, and like then even though it's hard, right? You if you focus on the right things, you can make it happen.
Right.
That's excellent. So, Aniket, the whole concept of LimeChat is very thrilling, if I may say, because you're addressing a very strong problem statement. How did that statement come to you? Because a lot of times when we're all thinking of startups, we're all coming up with a wide range of different ideas. How did you qualify that as an idea that you want to pursue and push forward towards?
Yeah, I would say that I actually got very lucky over there. And the so when we were actually starting our company, right, it was around March of 2020, and we did not know that, but the pandemic was just going to hit. So we were actually exploring very different ideas, which were in the fintech space and in the lending space and stuff like that. And suddenly the pandemic hit, right? And we just saw a lot of trends change around us. We saw people who had never shopped online who were forced to buy online, right? And these people they were not comfortable using websites at all. They wanted to talk to someone while buying, right? These people wanted very hands-on support, right? They did not want that they write an email to someone and then like they get a reply 48 hours later, right? The they wanted a really personalized experience, right? And that opened up that opportunity that hey, these people are already using WhatsApp to order groceries around them, to get a plumber, right? To get all kinds of things done around them in the pandemic, which had never happened before, right? They were actually going to shops before this, and we realized that okay, people like my mom and many people in all age groups were actually doing this, and they were finding that that experience was 10x better of using WhatsApp to get stuff done and not to actually physically go to a shop, talk to someone, and do it. So we realized that this was a trend which was here to stay. Right. Fortunately, we also came from an AI background where we knew how to build automated experiences on chat. Right. And so we decided to just marry our skill set with the trend, which the revolution which was happening, and build a buying journey and a support journey on WhatsApp. Right. And as soon as we even built the first in fact, even before we had completed building the first journey, we had 5 customers signed up with us, right? And these were large brands who were very excited to try this out in helping their support and helping their commerce journey, right? I mean, leveraging WhatsApp as a channel of revenue. And once we saw that initial traction, once we went live, once we saw the results, we knew that we had it's something which was extremely exciting for everyone. And after that, then our focus just went into creating that kind of 10x experience and activating it for more and more brands out there.
That is fantastic. Because I think for a lot of young entrepreneurs, this is one of the most challenging questions, right? Which idea to pursue? Because as you mentioned, you had a bunch of different ideas that you were also exploring. And then, of course, when you did your research and you did the analysis, you were able to determine that this is the right market. And there's a definitely a problem which you should be able to solve through technology. You mentioned AI. It is the hot topic.
And one more thing, right? Like one thing which made us, in fact, the startups which I had done for this, a lot of a big part of why they failed was we were just working in the wrong space, right? And it was just not a place where businesses can be built, right? It was places where like naive college kids think businesses can be built, but there is actually no scope there. And we had some amazing mentors. In fact, like the founders of Snapdeal, right? Kunal and Rohit, they were very actively mentoring us at that point. We were able to actually raise funds from them even before we picked this idea. And they helped us in that whole journey of figuring out the right space. And so it was not the biggest confidence for us also was that we were not just rushing headlong again into something, right, which is not scalable and where right, business cannot be. We had that right measure of guidance as well.
That
That's
is
great.
that is I think one of the most important factors, because having the right mentors is going to be very essential. So I think one of the strong messages that can send back to the younger generation is that, hey, you've got great ideas, great, but also consult with mentors, because they've also kind of been there, done that. Some mentors have uh, excelled and celebrated, whereas some mentors may have felt the pain. They know where the shoe is going to bite. So we should learn from their experiences also, right? And they'll be supporting, like in your case, the Snapdeal team. So I think that's fantastic. You mentioned AI, and AI is such a hot topic. Everybody is thinking about AI. There's an AI for pretty much everything these days. So, and when you look at AI and e-commerce and LimeChat together, how do you think this whole conversational AI technology is evolving, right? And what is the landscape looking like, especially in the e-commerce segment?
Yeah, absolutely. I have been working on like conversational AI since 2014, even before it was cool, right? Where, in fact, even the first ML algorithms were just getting implemented. And there have been like various revolutions which have happened in the technology itself in the last 10 years, which has most recently culminated into Chat GPT, right? Which has been that thing, right? Which has moved the needle throughout, which have made people start using and believing in AI, right? And immediately we've seen an impact. In e-commerce, there are a lot of complex problems to be solved, right? And AI can help out all over the place. So right from like if you have if you are a fashion brand who has like 10,000 SKUs, right? And like thousands of them coming every season, being able to automatically tag them based on the color, based on the fit, stuff like that, right? That is one application of AI. Search is an application of AI where people go to websites and just type whatever they want, right, in the search and in with spelling mistakes, and being able to take that and recommend the right products. Still, right, that is going to be a good application of AI. There will be application of not just conversational but visual AI as well, where maybe just looking at your face and your skin tone, or maybe looking at your whole body, it can recommend clothes, it can recommend face washes, shampoos, all of those things, right? And there is obviously in the whole space that we do in terms of giving a great experience on chat, in terms of support and in terms of commerce, enabling a whole purchase journey on chat, right? Making it feel very personalized and very interactive. So this is again a very fantastic application of AI. So as we move forward, right, there might be even more unexpected places where we see AI pop up, because the fundamental thing is being able to make sense of all of that data and understand your customers better, right? We reach that gold state where the brand is not just a website which is built, which is the same for 10,000 people, right? It is like a personal assistant which is understanding each and every person uniquely. In fact, like the way Facebook does, right? It really mines all of that data and is able to understand what is it that you really want and show you ads and get you to buy stuff, right? And that is where e-commerce will go forward.
I think that's very true, and I love the way that you shared examples which were beyond the Chat GPTs of the world. So there were some really hardcore tactical as well as strategic examples, which is where I think there's a lot of potential for AI to contribute. So that's definitely. But when you think about both, AI and machine learning, and you've been, let's say, lucky enough to be exposed to these technologies at such a young age, right? You've been doing this from so long. What do you think are some of the biggest challenges in this segment, in the AI? And what would you also recommend? So there are two questions here, right? What are the biggest challenges in the industry, especially focusing on AI and machine learning? And then what would you also recommend the younger generation to start evaluating, right? So because there are so many languages, people get so confused. I met somebody the other day and they're like, there are at least 10 languages that claim to support AI and machine learning. I don't know where to start. And this person has a decision paralysis right now because they don't know where to start. So there are two deep questions here, Aniket.
Yes, absolutely. Both are the great questions, and I'll tell you for both of those questions, right? I have a very similar framework, and the main idea is to focus on the end outcome, right? To focus on the brand, the customer, and to focus on their problem and what kind of value will get delivered, and not to focus on AI. Right? AI is just a tool which will help you solve that problem, right? And it should come naturally. It should not be that you're taking some AI tool and trying to hammer it on everything that you see. Right? It should be that if you are kind of seeing that scaling support is a huge problem, let us say, right? Then you should build that solution accordingly. The language and all of that is unimportant, right? The important thing is that you build something that is able to solve that problem, add value to brands, and meet all of their criteria. And in fact, the main challenges come there, right? Because even there are some things which AI does which are acceptable to us as consumers, but which are not acceptable at an enterprise scale. Right? Like, for example, ChatGPT gives wrong answers in many instances. It is able to, it in fact hallucinates very strongly for some questions. Like if you ask, how are the clothes made by Bajaj, right? And it would say it's awesome. You should go and buy it. Although that thing does not exist, and you'll find that your personal care brand and it has gone and sold clothes, right? Which is just not feasible, because which is obviously cannot be. It's going to spoil your brand, right? Even one instance like that is going to hurt you. So being able to like manage correctness of that AI, being able to make it predictable, right? Not that it will give random uncontrolled answers for each and every interaction, right? These are, and being able to hallucinate and control that hallucination. These are things which are very important for brands, which may not be important at a consumer level. So there are additional challenges which need to be solved to make AI work in production. But for someone who is just starting out, right, they should just look at some problem in the world where they feel AI can help, and then just pick whatever is the most convenient tool or language out there, right, to help them solve that problem. And automatically that is how they learn skills, and that is how things will get unlocked for them. So the decision should not be on like, oh, which language should I use or which tutorial should I see to learn AI. It should be on like, what problem am I solving in the world, right? And how can I solve that very quickly?
So
I will double click on that question because I was expecting a specific language to come out of this.
because when we start something, people like us, like I have worked extensively with Shopify. So language is one thing, programming language is something that the team has to fit in, your resources understand. So if a specific answer would come from there, then it would make easier for our people to our audience to understand the things better.
Yeah, so
Anything to
most
start, what is easier? What is easier
Yeah,
and what is the right starting steps?
or I would say the question essentially, Aniket, is for a young student who is at university or still at school. Now they're trying to take a decision of what AI language, because there's so many. There's Lisp, there's TensorFlow, there's, I mean, I think the list goes on. So which one would you say is foundational? Where would you ask them to start? Because I guess eventually their work will take them from one to the other. But where would you start?
absolutely. If you look at the frameworks, most of the frameworks are written in Python, right? Things like all TensorFlow and Torch and Keras and all of these are written in Python. So again, like you can pick a good influencer and see what they're recommending. But I see that most of the job openings in ML are also around Python, and it's easiest also to build using that. But if you look at specific frameworks, right, it's still not at a place where someone has won out between like there are various applications of TensorFlow as well, Torch as well, Keras, and many more new frameworks also. So that is where you can just pick out something which is easy to work with, which you feel comfortable, and maybe with someone around you knows, right? So it will be easy to pick that up and learn. So whatever will be the best, whatever will be the easiest to learn, right? Something which is mainstream, not obscure.
Right.
So you go ahead with that.
So, Aniket, you have been into it from last 10 years doing AI.
Yeah.
Okay. You said 2014, so it's a long time you have been into AI.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I just wanted to ask that in your experience, what are the, I would say, how do I frame it? Ethical challenges, ethical things, and the unreal things that AI could do. I mean, the issues that it would create. So, how do you solve those problems practically, and what is your take on that? There.
Yes, I think there are some cases where AI does have biases or have those ethical dilemmas where For example, like in a question answering system like Chat GPT, it might give out wrong answers. It might it might maybe tell someone to like commit suicide, commit a murder, whatever, right? Like those are huge ethical challenges. Or let us say if you are using it in an applicant screening system, right? And later on it turns out that it has very strong biases against certain kinds of people, right? So those are the places where actually like uh, uh, AI can have a dangerous impact in a realistic way, not in like a full sci-fi way, right? But there is a lot of work which is happening in studying ethical AI and measuring things and in making it making it bias free, making it correct, or at least to a limit which is reasonable to human beings, right? Because even if you put a human being there, there will be some or the other biases and ethical challenges there as well. But to bring it within a limit, I think there is a lot of work happening there, right? And if you're working with large companies, then that is something which is definitely going to come up as a talking point about have you is your model and is your whole system being able to work within that limit of ethics and so on.
And if we take it a little more extreme, like we have some very biggies in the IT industry talking about that AI is not meant for the future. It is going to be harmful for humanity and things like that. So what's your take on those things?
Mm, yeah, I am. I think that yeah, those guys are definitely working very closely on AI and they're extrapolating stuff. Their strong opinion. Myself too, I'm mainly seeing like I'm mainly working on those places where there are constructive applications of it, and I am an optimist in general, right? So I don't believe, matlab, for each of the technology which has been developed earlier, right? There have been good and evil applications, right? Like there have been nuclear power plants and nuclear bombs both. Right? And eventually, I feel that we figure out a way to actually control the negatives and harness the positives, and I think that is the direction which things will take in AI.
Have you yourself seen anything happening like this in whatever you did till now?
No, I don't. I think we are far away from that apocalyptic situation which people are thinking.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, that is.
That's very assuring. That's very assuring, actually.
I think
Yeah.
the ethical considerations are always there, be it the advent of the personal computer or the automobile or the mobile phone. I think everybody had something or the other to say about these technologies when they were out, especially the negative prediction of the future. But if we stay optimistic, like you said, how would you expect? So one is what you think is possible, but I'm thinking my question is around what you wish is possible using AI, right? So where would you want the technology to get to at some point?
Mm. I would actually want it to get to a point where a lot of manual repetitive work is something because it is something which like it becomes a thing of the past, right? All the manual work which we see in terms of driving cars, washing dishes, or washing clothes or cleaning the house, to like the people we talk to on phones for assistance, or all of all of these things become more or less automated, right? And like and they become omnipresent also. So I feel ki yeah, that would be like a very pleasant way, right, of where AI can evolve in the future.
I love this how he mentions about cleaning and washing and all those repetitive things.
Yeah.
We spoke about futuristic and the optimism and AI. What is innovation happening at LimeChat? What are you excited about, especially for the next 2 or 3 years? What are you guys building, or what are your customers asking you to build? And what is keeping you up at nights or making you wake up early morning because that's what is exciting you?
Yeah. Yes, yes. I am very excited about one thing, right? Which is actually this revolution which will happen around conversational commerce. And I'll just explain a little bit by what I mean by that. So we have already seen a lot of revolutions happen in technology right around us, and there is a fundamental thing which is needed to make that revolution happen. So we have seen the social media revolution, right? Where earlier, like, people just used to talk to each other in person, but now they're posting about themselves and other people are liking it. And that is because that feeling which you get, right, when you get that attention is just so much better than when you get it from 100 people online versus just one person, one on one. That is a 10x delta. And that causes everyone to start posting about their lives and commenting and liking, right? And it causes, and in 1 year, like, 1 year, everybody says that, oh, this is crazy. Nobody can, like, go and post things online and interact, right? But next year, everybody in the world is doing it. Same in e-commerce, we have seen it, right? Like, in 2010, if you would have said that, hey, I'm just going to go to a website and click some buttons and magically some clothes are going to show up at my doorstep, people would have said you're crazy, right? But in 2014, like, it was the norm. Everybody was doing it. And I believe that 5-10 years from now, a lot of commerce, like almost 50% of commerce, will actually happen on chat, where people won't go to websites and click on buttons, right? They would go to chat mediums like WhatsApp and talk to people or virtual agents or whatever, and just talk about their preferences and their pain points, and they would get some good recommendations, and they would get their questions answered, and they would buy from there. But to reach that state, right, it will not happen overnight. It would need those 10x better experiences to happen, and that would cause a revolution. And 1 year later, like, everybody would see that everyone around us is actually buying from WhatsApp. They're not buying from web. And what excites me is to build those things that will make that revolution happen, right? For example, giving support on WhatsApp in an automated way instantly versus getting support on email in 48 hours, right? That is a 10x difference, and that has already caused the revolution to start in the way support is done, right? Or marketing to someone on WhatsApp, that too in an interactive, non-spammy way versus like sending them SMS blasts every day. Right? That is again a 10x delta for brands and for customers. And or like buying products that you want, right? Like, let us say you buy a shampoo every month. Instead of going to a marketplace or typing it on Google every time, right? If you just get a nudge at the right time on WhatsApp and you're just able to say yes, send it to me, and you get it, right? That is a 10x better experience. So, what really keeps me up at night and keeps me passionate is thinking about these 10x experiences and building those out, right? Like the ones I mentioned, which will eventually cause that revolution, that shift to happen in how commerce is done.
That's very true, because I think we are also seeing a lot of similar progress happen in the WeChat space in China. So you could do pretty much everything on WeChat, from paying your electricity bill to buying products to getting customer service. So I feel that's a similar trajectory for WhatsApp too. Would you agree to that?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Like, in this sense, China has been ahead of the curve, much ahead of the curve compared to the rest of the world. Where WeChat just started out as a basic messaging app, but it has like an entire commerce journey and like social media and groceries and all kinds of things built into that. It has become a super app,
Correct.
right? And people do everything there, right? They were the first to do payments also, like on chat and stuff like that. So they've pioneered a lot of things. And I think WhatsApp was already moving in that direction. Meta has already announced that their vision is to make WhatsApp like a full-fledged super app like WeChat. And if you think about it, right, downloading an app seems it seems so 2010s, right? Like, where you have those like 100 apps cluttering your phone, and
Right.
you just open up one app once a month, right? There are only like 10 apps you even open up at a daily basis, and that's all you need. For all the other cases, like, you should be able to text someone on WhatsApp and get that stuff done, right? And I feel that WhatsApp will definitely move in that direction of becoming a kind of super app.
So, Aniket, your conversation reminds me of a quote that I used to quote when I used to teach digital marketing back in 2007, 2008. There was a statement that I would always give to my students, which was, where there is a conversation, there is a sale, right? So
Yeah.
where there is, and the sale doesn't have to be a tangible sale. It's also an exchange of ideas. It's an exchange of opinions at times. It's not always a transaction, what I meant in the sense of a commercial transaction. So because a lot of websites back in the day were those one way ecosystems, right, where you would essentially just have information, somebody's going to read them, and maybe take action of around them in the offline world. But now these conversational platforms have really brought this vision back to life, and it is really fun to see entrepreneurs like you actually leveraging and building those platforms that do exactly what I was thinking of back in the day. It I think it's a matter of time when this also goes more mainstream. Are you also thinking of other platforms beyond WhatsApp? Because if you look at other markets, right? So in India, of course, WhatsApp is definitely the leading chat ecosystem. But if you look at markets in Western Europe or North America, WhatsApp is not as common. Are you also planning to evolve to other platforms?
Yes. The technology which we have built is completely channel agnostic, right? It can
Oh,
easily be created and used across any channel. And in fact, we already do it in some other channels like Messenger and Instagram as well.
nice.
But as a company, you have to like move with extreme focus, right? Which is why we are like aggressively just focused on WhatsApp and then on the WhatsApp ecosystem and making things work there first. Because even if we capture all the geographies in the world where WhatsApp is being used, that is a big enough market for us.
That's
So instead of diluting our focus, like we're doubling down on that bit from our side.
that is great.
India is a big enough market. India is a big enough market at the moment. It's a booming and buzzing market. So yeah,
Correct. Correct.
everybody's on WhatsApp and all kinds of things are happening as well.
Yeah.
One thing I had read about you that you act as a strategic advisor to over 300 direct to consumer brands. So what
Yes.
common challenges do these brands face and how does LimeChat help in it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, if I tell you a little bit about brands, right? Now, this
Sure.
whole revolution D2C brands also happened in the pandemic where people come up with a really niche idea, right? Let us say I make a skin cream which is organic, or I make ghee which is organic, or if I make sustainable clothing, let us say. And they
Mhm.
open up their own sites and start selling on it. And customers now are very conscious and they want to be organic and they want to be premium and they go and buy directly from these websites. And these
Right.
brands have like started growing tremendously in the last 2 3 years. But a lot of this growth happened on the back of meta ads and on the back of funding, right? Which made a lot of this growth very unsustainable. And now that we are in a funding winter starting from 2023, definitely, right? The main challenge these brands are facing is how can I grow profitably? Because the amount of money they burn in an ad to get a customer on their website, right? They don't even make it back in on the first purchase. So to be profitable, they have to do one of two things: either reduce the cost it takes to acquire a customer or increase the lifetime value of that customer. And right, our main focus is on the second part where once a customer has bought, right? Yeah, how do you actually keep on engaging with them, give them a great experience, educate them about the brand, make sure they're using the product so that they come back and buy again and again. And that is
Right.
where WhatsApp helps, right? In giving a great support experience and in giving in making a very interactive post purchase journey and
Mhm.
in giving a very quick buying journey once you want to buy it again, right? Well, because you already know what the product is or you know the brand. So we really help brands not just with a tool but with an entire strategy so that they get that outcome, that they are able to improve their retention, they are able to improve their repeat purchases, and they go to a trajectory of very profitable growth.
Great.
Yeah, I think the two metrics that you mentioned, the cost to acquisition and the lifetime value, those are absolutely important and critical for any enterprise for that matter. So that is essential for almost every company that I've known and worked around, right? So that's very cool. And I think all of this is fun stuff, interesting. But how does Aniket learn on a continuous basis? How do you keep yourself updated? Because every morning when I wake up, there's either a new AI technology out there doing something or the other, and it is very difficult to catch up. So, how do you do that?
Yes, so learning and becoming better every day, right? It's a very important part of what I am, and it's also one of the core values of LimeChat. And we focus very aggressively on that. So there are two three things which I do, right? One is I'm constantly, I surround myself with the right mentors and this has been helpful right from the beginning. These are people who are like 2 3 steps ahead of me in the journey, where whenever I'm facing a major challenge, I'm able to go to them and learn from their mistakes and their journey, right? And that is a very sort of learning that I do. The other part is reading or listening to podcasts, right? And every day in the morning, right, I set aside half an hour, and I make that an active activity also, right? I don't just like open up a book or like listen to a podcast just like while running or something. I actually listen to it and take notes and see how I can apply it today in my life, right? In that sense, and I keep going back to those notes again and again. So with that, I've made it a very active way to continuously focus on learning and becoming better.
Nice.
So,
That's great. So you're staying in touch with the mentors, both online and offline, right? So there are mentors on these podcasts which are sharing their wisdom, of course, and then there are mentors in the real world whom you can reach out to and ask pointed
yes.
questions. So that is excellent. So I think essentially you what you're doing here is reaching out and getting that support. And I think that's also an area where a lot of us lack, where we think मुझे सब आता है, right? I know everything. And when you get into that mentality, you start creating problems for yourself. So that's fantastic that you do that. And I think
I always think after reading this, right, I realized कि अरे मेरे को कुछ नहीं आता है ना, मतलब most any topic पे I read, I figure out, oh my god, there is 100x more to learn over here. So that always keeps me motivated and going.
okay, perfect. So one last formal question, and then we'll move on to a quick rapid fire from Rahul, right? So I think as a lasting shot, so what would you share as advice for aspiring entrepreneurs? There are a lot of students right now who are all in the same zone as you were back in 2017, right? 2017, 2019. Everybody's trying to think of a startup. I think in India right now, and even outside of India, there are a lot of immigrants, especially this audience that we speak with, who want to become entrepreneurs. Everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. What would you say are the top 2 or 3 things that they should be doing, irrespective of everything else that they do? But these are the 3 things that they always must do.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you should always surround yourself with optimistic people, right? Because being optimistic is like it is like the biggest superpower you can have as an entrepreneur and in general also, right? That keeps you going through all the tough times. And the second is like learning, always trying to get better, right? And I already mentioned this, but like going that extra mile to figure out how you can avoid mistakes, not learn everything from doing your own mistake, right? But try to leverage what has happened already in the world from people who have done that, and so focusing on learning it. And the third thing is like not being afraid to fail, right? And this is more of a mentality thing, but like not thinking about the downside, right? Having a bias for action, moving quickly, and like getting things done, seeing those results, right? So those are the like, yeah, those are the things should be thinking about, I think.
Thank you. Thank you. It was very informative, and actually it got very serious in the end. So I'll just
And
to bring it down a little bit. We are not that serious people. We are, but usually we are not. So I'll move over to that part, which is the lighter part of the whole podcast, and that is a rapid fire. So so it's mostly one word or two word answer. So I'll very quickly start with it. Python or Java?
Python,
Okay. Favorite movie?
the Godfather.
Oh,
The Godfather. Oh, wow.
I was not
One,
expecting that.
yeah, sorry.
I was not
I like that.
expecting that.
Yeah,
So
you
one, one word to describe your entrepreneurial journey.
roller coaster.
That's right. The most exciting AI development in the last year.
I guess ChatGPT. Eh,
Chat GPT. Very
Yeah.
nice. One tech trend you're betting on for the future, apart from what you are doing at LimeChat.
Well, I am betting on VR as well.
Okay. VR as well. Okay.
Yes.
Your go-to relaxation activity?
Watching TV series.
Okay. Watching TV series. And this is a little difficult one. One habit you wish to change. If you don't wish to change anything, you can say that there's no habit. Perfect the way he is. So, okay, perfect. Yeah.
No, yeah, I would say
Anything?
Yeah.
What did you say?
Procrastination.
Procrastination? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. It happens with entrepreneurs. Okay. Best advice you have ever received?
The best advice I have received is to be surrounded by very good people who care about you.
Absolutely. You said it twice already. Yeah. So that is that's the real thing. I mean, being surrounded by positive people, being surrounded by people who like you, who care for you, is what life is all about. So it's a very nice thing you said.
Yeah. Professionally, this is, I think, applicable to us personally in our personal lives. Excellent. So, thank you once again, Aniket, for this session. We really enjoyed speaking with you and learning about your journey and how you became what you have become. There's a lot of lessons that I take back personally from this episode. So, there were things that while we know all of these things, right? These are all things that we are all aware of. But when you hear about how these simple learnings have impacted somebody's lives, that's when you think about, okay, am I doing this, am I also incorporating these lessons, continuous learning, being surrounded by people who care for you, and also creating a culture within the organization where learning is of ultimate focus. So I feel these are extremely strong takeaways both for me, and I wish also for our audience at the Indian Community Podcast. So we wish you all the best and good luck with what you're doing. And we are excited to see where LimeChat goes in the next few years.
Thank you, Amit and Rahul, and it was great sharing some insights and talking about my journey in your podcast.
Wish you all the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.